Hey James, Jerry Bob Allen, how you doing today? Good, good. Did you give any more thought to the Explorer? Did you have a chance to visit with your wife? And is there a? Oh, okay, all right. Is there a magic number that just works for you, that you kind of still at your 37, or is that you? Okay. All right. Well, listen, keep us in mind. Thanks for your time the other day. And if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. This is the only job I've ever had that I did not want to be promoted, and I say that to people every single day. There's not one thing that I would never want to be in a position where they ask me, if they ask me to be a manager, I'd absolutely say absolutely not. I love what I'm doing. This is the entry level of where I want to be. When I was a chef before, it's always about going to the next level. When you're a chef, then you want to be the restaurant chef or the chef partier, or you want to be the head of production or whatever it may be, or the sous chef, and then whatever. And you're always wanting to be better, or more. Or in this situation, for me, it was just a natural thing. I like where I'm at. I make good money at this job right here. I'm happy. I don't have the worries. I don't have to answer to anybody. All I have to answer to is myself and the sales managers, and I can do that pretty well here. I don't have to answer to any ownership or anything like that. It's just I come in, do my job, that's it. The food industry had changed so much over the years. I started when I was very young. I grew up in the business. I'm third generation food business. Grandfather was in it, my father was in it, naturally I was in it, of course. My significant other was selling cars, and she was successful, and I said, well gosh, if she can do it, I can do this. I mean, you know, so, and she was selling Hondas, and I liked Fords, and I liked American-made cars, and this was a brand that was good. Everybody felt good about Ford. Their product got better. There were times, I remember there were times when Ford's product wasn't so good, that it was, you know, kind of marginal at best. But their lines got better, their cars looked good. This Mustang was always a sexy little car, and people liked it. And the Ford truck had been 39 years. It had been the #1 selling truck in the world. So I knew that this was a good place for me and a good line. And coming to the car business and this agency and this place was a perfect fit for me. Geographically, it was a good fit for me because I live close. I live in Prairie Village, and this is in Overland Park, and it was 7 minutes away. I thought it would be a good way, a transition from being 54 going into this, and maybe spending the last few years of my working life in this business. And so that I decided that that's when I wanted to do this. This is what I wanted to do the most, was get out of the food business, get into something that I enjoyed, and I decided that it was time. I was absolutely petrified and scared to death. Oh, I had tremendous doubts. I was extremely scared. And every single day for the first probably 3 months, I didn't know if it was the right decision or not. I've always been driven to be successful and try as hard as I possibly can and be very competitive. And in this business, it's that way every single day, because you're competing against everybody you sell against in town. You're selling against people that you work with every day because you're trying to sell more cars than them, and that's a very small part of it. But you're constantly on. You have to be on your game all the time in this business. You have to be ready for it. You have to be sharp. You have to be, you have to be at it, and you got to be ready for whatever hits you. There is nothing about more exciting than seeing someone getting into a brand new car, especially if they're in an old car. But that's exciting. When they get into a car that smells new, it looks new, it is new, it's got no miles on it, or maybe 12 miles on it, and they get their keys and they've finished their financing and they're in the car and you're explaining everything to them, and it's so overwhelming because these cars today have so much to go on, so much to know on this. But they're so excited and there's this exuberance that they have, and it's just absolutely it's so fun to be a part of that. And I see it all the time. Everybody's excited. Nobody leaves and goes, oh my God, I have a new car. It's sort of like in the food business when they would have a great meal, they'd say, oh, I just had a great meal. And they don't do that. I had a great meal, or I have a great car now, or this is so exciting. I am so excited about my car. And then hearing from them 3 or 4 days after that, and they tell, oh, I love my Escape, or I love that car I bought from you, or it was so exciting, or I see them on the streets, or whatever. That is just so satisfying and so great about being in this business. Is that it's almost like it's a service you're providing, which you are, and just being able to just make the customer so happy. There are times when it's very boring, you're waiting around, there's that window time when you're just kind of looking out and stuff. Quite frankly, I keep pretty busy, I keep pretty active. I roam the dealership and I'm always trying to find someone to talk to or whatever. But there are times when there's downtime, early afternoons, sometimes rainy days like we've had earlier in the week when it was rainy or something like that and people aren't coming in or whatever like that. So there are times when it's kind of boring, but that's the time when you have to be creative in your thought process, and you have to be able to kind of figure out maybe a way to sell a car or call customers back and say, hey, you bought a car from me a couple years ago, or do you know anybody who wants to buy a car, or just contacting customers, because sometimes you can do that as well. You just have to be honest. You have to be forthright in your answers to people, to make sure it's what you want to do, to have an open mind. The grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence, and it's only green if you try really hard and work hard and listen. And for me, I listened to my managers and I listened to the people who tried to help me, and I got as much education as I could possibly get. And I put all my efforts into it, every ounce I had to be successful. And that, if they do that, they'll be successful. What do you call a car salesman chained to the bottom of the sea? A good start? I don't know.